Radhe Radhe. In my previous talk on the topic, which dissension should I meditate upon, I had explained that in the practice of devotion or bhakti, loving remembrance of God, otherwise known as Rup Dhyan, we have full freedom to meditate upon any form our heart desires, because everything that God possesses is infinite, it is unlimited. Ananta Nama Rupaya. He has unlimited names, unlimited forms, unlimited attributes, unlimited pastimes, unlimited abodes, unlimited saints, devotees. So everything that he possesses is unlimited. So any form that we would remember in our heart, in our mind, would be out of the infinite forms of God. And so the scriptures and saints tell us that we are free to choose or to imagine the form that our heart desires. So we have the freedom. However, in the Hindu religion, there are two popular dissensions of God in human form. Sometimes people wonder, like, okay, so I cannot imagine, a form in my mind. And so for our devotional welfare, for our spiritual benefit, upliftment, scriptures describe, and of course God has manifested himself. And so in the Hindu religion, there are two popular dissensions of God in human form, and many of us believe they are different personalities. So there's confusion in people's mind that these two dissensions are distinct or they are different from each other. Devotees of Lord Ram think he is superior, whereas devotees of Shree Krishna proclaim that he is the superior one. My Gurudev Jagat Guruttam Sri Kripaluji Maharaj states that all dissensions of God are complete, possessing equal potencies, and none is greater or smaller. The same supreme power can descend in any form depending upon the specific purpose. He may carry a bow and arrow over his shoulder, or, for that matter, a flute in his hands. Nevertheless, he is one and the same entity, one and the same divine personality. This fact is not commonly known, and so we see people in general favoring worship of one over the other. Let us now reconcile this apparent difference. The Adhyatma Ramayana refers to Lord Ram as Madhav, and Madhav is another name of Shree Krishna. I offer my salutations to that Madhav who is beyond Maya and who exists before the manifestation of the world. O emerald-hued Lord of Mathura, O Ram, I offer my salutations unto you. O Ram, who resides in Vrindavan and who is worshipped by the hosts of gods, I salute you. Do you have the courage to challenge these statements of the Ramayana? Can anyone contradict these scriptural verses, evidences? Absolutely not. Now, let's take an example. Let us say your father owns 25 sets of clothes. Some for the office, informal attire for around the house, and recreational clothing, etc. Has your father changed in any of these different circumstances? No, he remains the same. In the same way, Shree Krishna and Shree Ram were both blue complexioned and both wore yellow saffron colored clothing. In fact, everything was identical. But what about the peacock feather? Is there any restriction in any scripture stating that Shree Ram is forbidden from wearing one? If he gets into the mood, he may do so. And who is going to stop him if he does? Why are you wearing that? Is anyone going to question him? It's reserved for Sri Krishna, so why are you wearing it? There's no such thing. But Sri Ram carries a bow. Okay. Do you know that Sri Krishna is also known as the wielder of the bow named Sarang? You should also know that you are committing a transgression, a grave spiritual offense by distinguishing between Sri Ram and Sri Krishna. Those who are not conversant with scripture should simply accept my request not to foster such a distinction. In conclusion, Sri Ram and Sri Krishna are not equal. They are in fact one and the same personality. Being equal implies two, but they are not two. As my Gurudev Sri Maharaji reveals in the following couplet, Doha, from one of his compositions, Radha Govind Geet, a collection of 11,111 devotional couplets. Ram Shyam dono ek, Govind Radhe, Jako man jame lage, Va me laga de. जाको मन जामे लगे वा में लगा दे. Both Sri Ram and Sri Krishna are one personality. One should devote oneself to that form one feels natural attraction towards. So this is to make it convenient for us, to make it easier for us. Scriptures describe the divine form of Sri Krishna as well as Sri Ram. So we are free to meditate on either one of their forms or imagine our own form in our own mind, in our own way, based on our sentiments and whatever our heart desires. We have that freedom to meditate. And so in that meditation, we wish to add our love, our affection, our affinity, and lovingly remember God. And so that loving remembrance of God is actually the quintessence. It's the quintessence of spiritual knowledge, spiritual philosophy, as far as practical implication or application rather of the knowledge is concerned. So in practice, loving remembrance of God with the help of our mind is essential. It is imperative. So I'll leave you with these thoughts. Shrimat Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai. Shrimat Yugal Sarkar ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.